want to go a little bit further into that gut feeling, because it is something we all use that saying, right? I have a gut feeling about this. But not all gut feelings are intuitive, and not all gut feelings are to be trusted or are to be taken as sort of the way forward or the direction that you want to go. So how do you know what your gut feeling means? So I've actually made this little sort of diagram that I'm going to work you through, and I have it as a downloadable handout as well, so you can open it there, and it's much more, it's much cleaner than this thing that I've created here. So when you experience a gut feeling, what I would advise you to first do is check in whether that gut feeling is feeling very emotionally charged or not. So if it's emotionally charged, you will, or you can check in if that emotionally charged experience is related to fear or to love or trust. It is always one of these, right? It can be all sorts of subsets and sub-criteria to that, but it all comes down to either fear or love or trust. If your gut feeling is very emotionally charged, then it's fear or love, and it's not intuition. If it's not emotionally charged, then you can have a look at, is this about the past or the future, or is this about the present? If it's about the past or the future, the next step that you want to do is see if this is a very action-oriented, very concrete thing. Think, for example, I have to resolve this issue that I have with my mother, and that suddenly arises, I need to resolve this. This is something that is related to a past issue that you had with your mom, but in this moment you realize that there is this feeling of I need to do something about that. Very action-oriented. That can be an intuitive moment. If it's not concrete, then it's almost always worry. And the thing with worry is, I recently read this comparison that I really loved. So worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it won't get you anywhere. I love that. So if it's if you're experiencing a gut feeling where you feel like there's something horrible that happened in your past, when you think about your relationship with your parents, for example, or you experience nervousness maybe for a meeting that you're going to have. This is all related to worry, which is not intuition. If you are experiencing a non-necessarily emotional feeling related to the present, there's three options. Either it's not concrete, and you just feel a little anxious, often worry, almost always worry. It can be very action-oriented. Then you could say something like, for example, you're walking somewhere and you have a very clear notion that you shouldn't cross the street here. Very clear, present moment, action-oriented. That is intuition. That is intuition. And it can be more like a knowing. And that knowing, other than the fear, love, sort of emotionally charged feelings that you can have, that they go on for a longer period of time as well. It's not that one spark of an instant thing, but that knowing is not so emotionally charged. It's more like this sort of underlying certainty or underlying confirmation. It's like a confirmation that you're sort of on the right path, or that your thinking is going in the right direction. And that can be either yes or no. So not all intuitive knowing is positive, and not all is negative. So how you check that, for me, works the best is that I go to that feeling and experience if it's either expansive Really like there's so much possible now, that is a yes. And a more like a contractive, like, this makes me feel like doing this, that's a no. But this is something that you should check for yourself. And this is something that you have to experience for yourself. And the way that you can do that is by just going to a question or a topic where you know your yes and your no. Think about that yes or no, but let's say the yes. Think about that yes situation and check in with your body how it feels for you to have that yes in your presence, in your awareness. And then do the same with the no. Because as I said in the beginning, we are not so used to listening to our body. But our body, we're not just like walking brains. We are human beings, and our body is a very important part of our experience. So learning to understand what our body is telling us is a super valuable way, and not, in all different walks of life, that's super helpful. So this takes a little bit of exploration, but it's very worthwhile. So if you experience a gut feeling, know that it can be more of an emotional response or reaction to what is going on or what you're thinking about, or it can be an intuitive, an intuitively related message from yourself. But almost, or basically always, that gut feeling, if it's emotion or if it's intuition, it's not emotionally charged. It's sort of an underlying, confirming, positive, but not like festively positive, but more like a subdued positive feeling, a knowing. And I think maybe that is maybe the most important thing to realize about intuition is that you can have a thinking, you can think about something, or you can know something. And knowing, that is what your intuition does. That is your intuitive confirmation, or your intuitive response. That is a knowing, not a thinking. It's not something that is going on in your head that you've analyzed or thought through. That's not intuition. But it's not always your gut feeling. It's also not always your intuition. And that's what I wanted to explain by this. So you can learn when to trust your gut feeling as an intuitive knowing, and when you can work with it because it's an emotional how would you say that? An emotional flag or something like, this is emotional to me. I'm not saying that you should ignore that, but I'm also not saying that that is intuition.